So it's on to the last of our finals. It is the Misedat KZ2 final. Carl Wilson off the pole, Daniel Bray from 2. Carl Wilson with a horrible start. Wilson's got dropped right back. We're on board with Jonathan Pearson. So Carl Wilson with a lot of work to do, but the plus here is he's got 31 laps to try and get back to the front. So Pearson slots into second. See how physical and aggressive these KZ2 karts are. You're going to be shifting gears. Lots of gear changes throughout the lap. Maybe not so much through the infield. Now, tyre preservation is the order of the afternoon. Hot conditions throughout the weekend. Each of the drivers gets 6 tyres allocated for the weekend, and most of them have put on 2 new tyres to the outside of the car. So that's the left-hand side of the car. Big brake lock up there for Wilson. He's trying hard to get back through to the front. Matthew Kinsman just up ahead. Daniel Bray, your race leader. Scotty Reddish there in the 76. Michael Kaiser in there. Jody Vincent. William Thomason, Richard Moore. So Wilson just about stalled off the start. Dropped him back into about the 6th position. It's Jody Vincent just up ahead, former GT3 Porsche Cup racer. He's made his return to kart sport in the last 18 months or so. So Wilson has lost a lot of track time to Daniel Bray. So it'll be Matthew Kinsman just up ahead of his Sodi kart teammate, Jody Vincent. Another look over his shoulder. Vincent knows he's vulnerable here at the moment. Wilson with big pace. Daniel Bray with a new track record in the first heat of the weekend at a 34.06. Wilson makes the pass this time. Goes by Jody Vincent. So that was only 2 tenths off their qualifying time at the beginning of the weekend. And Scott Reddish. Will Thomason trying to get by him, former New Zealand Yamaha Heavy champion. Races for the Laskin team out of Wellington, the intrepid chassis importers for New Zealand. Scott Reddish and the Maranello, one going off there, and it is Thomason. Michael Kaiser's going to pick up the spot on him, running the number 95 Cosmic out of the Taranaki Kart Club. So Daniel Bray looks to have things under control out in front as Thomason makes the pass on Kaiser. Just battle a little bit further back through the field. Still a lot of laps to try and get through to the front. A couple of the drivers maybe with some better tyres underneath them, having some issues in the earlier heats. There's Richard Moore, former New Zealand Open class champion. He's also raced in the Mini Challenge and the Porsche GT3 Cup. It's the 5 of Jonathan Pearson, Matthew Kinsman, Carl Wilson. He's made up a lot of ground on the back of Matthew Kinsman. So Pearson's still second, Kinsman third, Wilson now up into the 4th spot. Daniel Bray with a huge advantage out in front. Oh, Wilson with a big brake lock-up. That's the Scandinavian flick. You won't want to do too much more of that because it'll just kill the rear tyres. So we've got the GP chassis out in front. Tony Kart second, Sodi Kart third, Tony Kart in 4th. The final for the Misedat KZ2 at the CIK Trophy of New Zealand, presented by Paymark. Kinsman down the inside of Pearson. There's the pass on board with Pearson. Wilson's gone down the inside as well. So in the space of a lap, Pearson's gone from 2nd to 4th. So Kinsman starts his chase of Daniel Bray, who's a good 4 to 5 seconds up the road. just see him in the top of the picture making the turn to the right-hander, so it's probably a 12 to 15 kart length advantage. Probably a good 3-second advantage for Daniel Bray. There's Bray crossing the line. It's about a 2.5 to 3 second gap back to Matthew Kinsman, chased by Carl Wilson. Have they got enough laps to chase down the reigning CIK Trophy KZ2 winner from a year ago? Bray, the current Misedat Pro Kart Series champion as well. As we watch the battle between Matt Kinsman and Carl Wilson for second and third, trying to narrow that gap to the race leader. Will Thomason and Richard Moore are starting to work their way towards the front as well. You don't want the setups to come on too early. You don't want to be too fast at the start of the race, certainly with these 31 lappers. You want the setups to really come on probably the last quarter of the race. You also don't want them to come on too late. So it's a fine balance, making changes throughout the weekend, tyre pressures, chassis adjustments, even seating position. So many changes you can make to these karts, of course, gearing. 6-speed sequential gearboxes. Making the shifts on the steering column. So Pearson just dropping back there in fourth. I think there was a quick glimpse of Scott Reddish in the 5th position. So still no sign of Daniel Bray. He's got about that 2.5 second advantage over this battle. Kinsman trying to hold off Carl Wilson. Wilson, though, seizes the opportunity at the top corner. Goes by the Auckland youngster. Now can Wilson get some clean laps in and close the gap down to Daniel Bray? Pearson, that was Richard Moore. So Richard Moore up into the 5th spot and was applying pressure to Pearson, makes the pass. Moore was a DNF in the pre-final, started near the back of the final. He's just set his fastest lap at a 34.4, so he's got big time pace. So Pearson getting dropped back to 5th. Here is Richard Moore in the Maranello chassis. Racing out of the Kart Sport Mount Wellington Club, sponsored by Scoot and Paint Protection Film. So just past the halfway distance, Pearson loses another spot, this time to William Thomason. Might have got him back up the inside though, a little bit of contact. Thomason gets the pass. So Thomason up into 5th, Pearson back to 6th. Richard Moore's closed the gap. He's the fastest on track at the moment, other than probably Will Thomason. Looks to the inside of Matt Kinsman. Richard Moore on a charge. Through to 3rd goes Richard Moore. You can see the bits of rubber just flying off the tyres. The end of a long weekend, but Richard Moore charging towards the front. Daniel Bray leading from Carl Wilson, who's closing the gap, and there is the gap. And Richard Moore's right there with them. Richard Moore absolutely flying. Wilson's closed the gap to Daniel Bray. We've got a 3-way battle for the lead in the final of Misedat, KZ2. Bray's kart looks a little bit nervous out of those last couple of corners. Is he in tyre trouble? Slides his way up the hill. Wilson to the outside, Moore to the inside. Small mistake there from Wilson. Moore says to him, well, if I got some pace following me through, we'll both get by him. So Moore from the rear of the grid, now in a fight for the race lead. Daniel Bray again, you can just see the car stepping out sideways. Richard Moore and Carl Wilson both look a lot more stable. Just in back a shot, you just saw Will Thomason flashing through. So Thomason also from the back. Moore, half look down the inside of Bray. Gets the door shut on him. There's Thomason. Just in back a shot. Bray, very vulnerable. Moore again. Different line through to Misadat. Wilson to the inside of Moore. It is all on here. Bray with a little bit of an advantage. Moore and Wilson just tying each other up a little bit. William Thomason is flying. He'll be on the back of this group in a minute. So Daniel Bray, can he hold on from a charging Richard Moore, Carl Wilson and Will Thomason? Thomason's just set the fastest lap of the race at a 34.34. Only a tenth quicker of the fastest aero pace from Wilson, Moore and Daniel Bray. Daniel Bray's just backed up into the 34.6s, 34.7s. Moore up the inside at the top corner. Wilson's going to follow him through. Will Thomason right with the front three. Wilson up the inside of Moore. Bray trying to get back up the inside of Richard Moore. Climbed off the curbs, cost him a little bit of exit speed. Wilson now leads. Richard Moore second. Daniel Bray back to third, the reigning CIK champ for the Misadat KZ2 class. Will Thomason now goes to work on Daniel Bray. Oh, graphic there, you can see Bray four-wheel drifting up the hill. Really looks to be in tyre trouble now as Thomason's going to outbrake him down the hill to the right-hander. Thomason through to third. So we've got Tony Kart, Maranello, Intrepid, GP Racing. Top four different chassis manufacturers represented in the top four positions for the final of KZ2 here at the CIK Trophy of New Zealand, presented by Paymark. Well, it's been a big few weeks for Carl Wilson. Recently won the New Zealand Supercar Championship. Richard Moore hasn't given up on it though. He's only a couple of kart lengths behind. Almost effortless, so smooth. Richard Moore's upper body hardly moves, whereas Carl Wilson's elbows up, a lot more aggressive over the wheel. So could it be a hometown victory? White flag, last lap board out. Carl Wilson looking for the CIK title for 2011 in KZ2. Quick look over his shoulder, he's got about a 2 kart length advantage over Richard Moore. Will Thomason's got things under control in that battle between himself and Daniel Bray. So Bray's dropped right off the pace now. In fact, he's back in the 35-second bracket. What a race. The highlight of the weekend. Carl Wilson's going to take out KZ2 out of the final corner in front of this huge crowd who enjoyed that one. Carl Wilson, the CIK Trophy champion for KZ2 for 2011, from Richard Moore, Will Thomason, Daniel Bray fading to fourth ahead of Matthew Kinsman and Jonathan Pearson.
Carl, great drive, and real, I guess, tyres come into it and tyre management as well when you came through with that one.
I think so. I'm not too sure what happened with Daniel, but I definitely made it a lot harder than it needed to be by not making the start, but hard luck to Daniel. But I'd like to congratulate Richard and Will and for the awesome fight we had near the end.
Did you know Richard was there towards the end of the race?
I had no idea Richard was there until he was beside me. I was trying to line Daniel up to get a better run off for down the back straight, and then, oh, Richard's beside me, bugger.
That race was just probably one of the hardest I've ever done. As you can see, my face is probably the same colour as my suit. And you know, Carl put a big fight in. I didn't really expect at all, especially after the start. You know, I was all weekend I've been duffing the starts up, and that's something that I need to look at and focus on and look forward to for the series.
The amazing thing is Daniel Bray had such a big lead, and you guys just cut into it towards the end.
Yeah, well, I've talked to him and he said that his tyres were just gone, and I can understand because just as I got to Carl, my tyres started to go as well, and you know, there's nothing there once your tyres are gone, and it's just, that's it.